Ho, 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 ho! I'm happy you're here, kids! Enjoy this episode of Santa Reads Children's Books. Ho, 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 ho! Did I ever tell you how lucky you are? By Dr. Seuss. Ooh, those look kind of sharp. When I was quite young and quite small for my size, I met an old man in the desert of Dries. And he sang me a song I will never forget, at least. Well, I haven't forgotten it yet. He sat in a terrible prickly place, but he sang with a sunny, sweet smile on his face. When you think things are bad, when you feel sour and blue, when you start to get mad, you should do what I do. Just tell yourself, ducky, you're really quite lucky. And some people are much more, ever so much more, much more unlucky than you. Kind of a good song. Be glad you don't work on a bungly bung bridge that they're building across Booper Bay at Rum Bridge. It's a troublesome world. All the people you're in it are troubled with troubles almost every minute. You ought to be thankful a whole heaping lot for the places and people. You're lucky. You're not. Huh. Just suppose, for example, you lived in Gazette and got caught in that traffic on Zate Highway 8. Oh my gosh, kids, look at that traffic. Huh. Or suppose, just for instance, you lived in Gazer with your bedroom up here and your bathroom up there. Oh my gosh, look at that, kids. Ha! That's a long ways away. Just suppose you were poor Herbie Hart, who has taken his thumb defibrillator apart. He never will get it together, I'm sure. He never will know if the gick or the gore fit next to the scrux or the snux or the snore. Yes, ducky, you're lucky you're not Herbert Hart, who has taken his thrombdimbulator apart. Uh-oh. Think they work you too hard? Think of poor Ollie Sard. He has to mow grass in his uncle's backyard. And it's quick-growing grass, and it grows as he mows it. The faster he mows it, the faster he grows it. And all that his stingy old uncle will pay for his shoving that mower around in that hay is the pilfulous pay of 2 duklas a day. And Ollie can't live on such piffless pay. So he has to paint flagpoles on Sundays in Grooves. How lucky you are you don't live in his shoes. And poor Bix. Every morning at 6, poor Mr. Bix has his borfin to fix. He doesn't seem fair. It just doesn't seem right. But this borfin seems to go slump every night. It slumps in a heap, sadly needing repair. Bix figures it's due for the local night air. Uh-oh. It takes him all day to unslump it. And then the night air comes back and it slumps once again. Oh no. So don't you feel blue. Don't get down in the dumps. You're lucky you don't have a borfin that slumps. Uh-oh. It's a good point. Huh. And while we are at it, consider the schlots. The crumple-horn, web-foot, green-beard schlots, whose tail is entailed with unsolvable knots. Oh no. If he isn't muchly more worse off than you, I'll eat my umbrella. That's just what I'll do. And you're lucky indeed you don't ride on a camel. To ride on a camel, you must sit on a whammel. A whamble, you know, is a sort of a saddle, held on by a button that's known as a faddle. And boy, if your old whamble faddle gets loose, I'm telling you, ducky, you're gone like a goose. Oh no! Whew, right down in that big pit. Huh. And poor Mr. Potter, T-crosser-I daughter. He has to cross T's and he has to dot I's. In an I and T factory out in Van Nuys. Oh, the jobs people work at out west near Hotch Hotch. There's a Hotch Hotcher, bee watcher. His job is to watch. Is to keep both his eyes on the lazy town bee. A bee that is watched will work harder, you see. Well, he watched and he watched, but in spite of his watch, that bee didn't work any harder. Not much. So then somebody said our old bee-watching man just isn't bee-watching as hard as he can. He ought to be watching by another Hotch-Hotcher. The thing that we need is a bee-watcher-watcher. Well, the bee-watcher-watcher watched the bee-watcher. He didn't watch well, so another Hotch-Hotcher had to come as a watcher-watcher. And today all the Hotchers who live in Hotch Hotch are watching on watcher watching watching the watcher who's watching that bee. You're not a Hotch watcher. You're lucky, you see. Interesting, kids. And how fortunate you're not Professor DeBreeze, who has spent the past 32 years, if you please, trying to teach Irish ducks how to read Javanese. And think of the poor puffing Pooglehorn players who have to parade down the Pooglehorn stairs every morning to wake up the Prince of Poop-Pawkin. It's awful how often their poogles get broken. Oh no. And oh, just suppose you were poor Harry Hatto. Try as he will, he can't make any shadow. Oh. He thinks that perhaps something's wrong with his giz. And I think that, by golly, there probably is. Huh. And the brothers Bazoo, the poor brothers Bazoo. Suppose your hair grew like theirs happened to do. You think you're unlucky? I'm telling you, ducky. Some people are muchly, oh, ever so muchly more unlucky than you. Oh, no. And suppose that you lived in that forest in France, where the average young person just hasn't a chance to escape from the perilous pants-eating plants. But your pants are safe. You're a fortunate guy. And you ought to be shouting, how lucky am I? Oh no, kids. Whew, I don't want to go there. And speaking of plants, you should be greatly gladdish. You're not Farmer Falkenberg's 17th radish. Oh no. And you're so lucky you're not Gucky Gown, who lives by himself 90 miles out of town in the ruins of Ronk. Ronk is rather run down. Oh. And you're so lucky you're not a left sock left behind by mistake in the caverns of Croc. Oh, poor sock. Thank goodness for all the things you are not. Thank goodness you're not something someone forgot and left all alone in some punkerish place, like a rusty tin coat hanger hanging in space. Oh, no. That's why I say, ducky, don't grumble, don't stew. Some critters are much, oh, ever so muchly much, much more unlucky than you. Huh. The end. Huh. What a great book, kids. I sure hope you enjoyed that book, kids. Oh, I love reading in the North Pole. Listen, make sure you take a look at some of the other books that we've done here. Have a wonderful day, kids. We'll see you in the next episode. Ho, 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 ho!